Hi everyone, I'm very excited to show you some of the new tools we've just made available for creators in the JigSpace workshop. The first thing we have done is we have updated the object list to now include a drag and drop hierarchy, which gives you an amazing array of capabilities in how you transform and animate objects. On screen here, as an example, you can see a model of a centrifuge, as well as the cabinet that it's sitting on. Now, with the drag and drop hierarchy, you can organize your objects in a order of parenting and children to multiple levels that enable you to have greater organization of related objects, or to do transformations where you want the children of an object to be transformed with that. Let me show you some examples of what that looks like in the workshop. I'm just going to hide this. So in this model of this centrifuge, there is some objects here that I want to move together, and so I'm going to group them and then put them in a hierarchy that makes sense. So this object here, this cylinder, is what I want to be the kind of parent of these objects because these test tubes sit within it. And the first thing I'm going to do is click on this vial here. I just click and hold it and drag it up to the centrifuge cylinder here. And now they are in a group and a hierarchy together. I can still select and transform them individually, but if I transform the parent, such as move it or rotate it, for example, the children move with the parent. And you can have multiple levels of this. So I'm going to also add the middle of this centrifuge as well, this ball here. These vial lids, I want to actually make a child of the glass as well. So they can have their own little group. So if I want to show and hide these now, they show and hide together. If I moved them as well, for example, they move together. And now in this group, which you can see, you can just hide and collapse it. If I hide and show it, they're all grouped together. Now, on this step, if I wanted to say spin them all together in this centrifuge, instead of multi-selecting and having to spin all of those objects, I just select the highest level in the hierarchy that I want to animate together, in which case it's this overall cylinder. Click on the spin icon here and select spin around the y-axis, and make it go a little bit faster than that. And now when you view this jig, all of the objects, so the vials, the lids, and the main cylinder itself, will all spin together around that top level of the parent. When you change the hierarchy, it changes the objects across all of your jig. So this applies to objects across the whole timeline. And you can use it for a range of things. So you can see here as well, this part of the centrifuge, these objects are all sort of related to each other in that they are the labels and buttons and the outside casing. Now if I wanted to show and hide this more easily, I can do that in one go. Or if I wanted to move it out of the way on a step, for example, I can do that on with one transform. So it makes it much easier to organize, group, and move around objects together. So that's the first way you can take advantage of it. The second thing you can do is do more complicated movements. And I'm going to show you that with another model now. Now, in this example, I have a robotic dog that I've started parenting, and I've created a bunch of like little sub-assemblies of each of these legs. And you can see here, each of these has this inner part, outer shell, and then a lower limb, so to speak. And I want to make them all part of this larger model here, which is where the joints sit. And I'm going to show you how articulated movement works. So I need to drag all of these onto here one at a time. So just make this hierarchy. You can do multi-select in the hierarchy. So if you hold down Command or Control on a Mac or Control on Windows, you can multi-select and then drag all of them on like that. And if you have other objects as well that you want to clean up, in this case, there is some. Select all of those, drag them on, and then I've got a nice neat assembly here with sort of two main sub-assemblies, and then within this core sub-assembly here, there's 4 individual legs. So advanced articulation is where you can have multiple layers of the hierarchy where they have different pivot points of movement. And so a very common example is arms and legs, either on robots, humans, things like that. And this is actually a simple one where there's only a couple of joints I'll show you. But a great way to kind of see this in action now is with a couple new features that are also in the workshop. So the first one of these is the new camera perspectives here. First thing I want to do is actually change the pivot point from the middle here up into this joint here. Now, traditionally I would have had to kind of line this up and pan, a little bit complex and kind of doesn't give you a true orthographic view. Now you can just hit keypad 1, 2, 3, 4 and it'll switch from this normal perspective that we have, this 3D perspective, into one of 3 orthographic views. So 2 gives you a top view, 3 gives you a side view, and 4 gives you a front view. So if I switch to a pivot view now and zoom in, I can hit key 3 to get this side view, drag my position pivot up here to change where I want that to appear, get it nice and even inside that circle, and hit save, and then I've got a nice aligned pivot point. And then again, on the parent object, which also has these 2 children attached to it, I want its pivot point as well to sit on the joint shoulder here. So I'm going to hit key 3 and bring it up. Now you might say, how do I do that? Well, I can just hide that sub object in the assembly here. Just reorient my camera and there, right in the middle of the joint. And now if I want to do a couple steps of articulated movement, I can rotate this up here and then click on my lower limb here and fold that up there. And when going from step 1 to step 2, you'll see how they nicely move together as parent and children objects. And just as a reminder, those keypads are 1 for the standard perspective, 2 for top, 3 for side, and 4 for front. And you can also just press the camera perspective here. There are a couple other rules that are worth noting about how parenting and the hierarchy works. The first one that's important to know is that some properties are still only edited at the sub-object or mesh level, and they include materials, colors, the alpha or transparency of objects, and adding actions. So you can add an action on a parent, you can add an action on a child object, for example, or on the overall model. That doesn't change. Individual pivots exist on each individual mesh. However, a pivot point obviously may, if it moves a parent, the children will be transformed relative to that. But otherwise, every single mesh can have a custom pivot point. That doesn't change. And textures still only apply at the overall model level, so up at this main level. That will change in the future, but currently that still is the system, and the addition of any parenting changes, any custom parenting that you do, does not affect any custom textures that you load on a model. We have a little selection guide to help you as well. So when you have selected, say, a parent mesh and you want to edit it, you'll see there's a light green outline. In the past, we just had our blue mode and then green mode. There's also a dark green to kind of give you an indication of if there's other objects of children as part of that. So for example, if I select just the submesh here, this stopper, and I want to edit its color, so I'm going to make it a brighter blue here. You can see this little green outline indicates that's the only thing I'm editing. And if I was to make that a different color, you can see that corresponds. Likewise, if I select the parent model here, it's glass, and if I changed it from glass to gold or back again, it doesn't impact the other meshes. So that they still get edited independently of each other. And it's really the move, rotate, scale, transformations, and obviously spinning as well, and how objects move and tween between steps. That's where the parenting relationships really matter and can change how your jigs operate.